This is Yvon Chouinard. He is now my all-time business hero. Who has heard of Yvon Chouinard before? A few people, yep. Yvon Chouinard wrote the book, Let My People Go Surfing. He founded Patagonia, I don't know, about 100 and something years ago. He's 76, 77. And Yvon Chouinard founded the business because he loved climbing. He loved being outdoors. He was the sort of kid that spent his time in science class holding his breath so that he could abalone dive deeper on the weekend, okay? It was all about the adventure, and it still is. The reason Patagonia is so amazingly successful is because his spirit of adventure and his commitment to the environment have never ever wavered. So for those of you who don't know Patagonia, it's a massive international outdoors adventure climbing business. They're now in clothes and a whole bunch of other retail things. The reason I think he is so amazing is because he turned business as I knew it on its head. He put his people first from the get-go. Right from the start, when he was still just working, he converted his dad's chicken coop and he used an anvil just to start making carabiners and other climbing equipment. And right back then, when the surf was good or it started snowing, him and his friends downed tools and they took off. And that has been the philosophy of the company. So some of the things I just want to, share with you from Yvon Chouinard and his experience. Live your values. His values are so strong. He has actually founded a tract in Patagonia where he's completely funded it, and it's gone back to a wilderness area, which is pretty incredible. And he has done that through his company. He's also part of the 1% Foundation, 1% for the Planet, where they dedicate 1% of all of their profits back to grassroots environmental organisations. His first value has always been the environment. Improve it, make it better. Back in the 90s, Yvon Chouinard saw the writing on the wall. He said, we have to change the way that we're manufacturing. This is a multi-million-dollar business at this stage. In the 90s, he made a pledge with his directors that they would stop using all cotton that was not organic. It was in the 90s. By the year 2006, they had eliminated all use of non-organic cotton. This is before it became trendy. And the decision cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars. However, how many people have seen that now and are starting to think, oh, Patagonia, they sound like an awesome company. And all of that is now paying off for them. Make it easy for your staff to love their work. One of the things he did back in the 70s, he realised that a lot of his staff were women. And they would, when they had kids, they would leave and it was too hard for them to come back. And it was costing him a fortune to actually have to replace them. So he started his own creche in the building in the 70s. His whole idea was, why on earth would I make it hard for my people to work here? And through his book, he talks about all of the savings. They have a whole cafe on site. They encourage the kids and the parents to interact through the day. They still, to this day, they've got surfboards in their front foyer. If people want to go surfing, they can. Who would like to work for a company like that? Yeah? Who wishes they brought their boss along? Yeah, I know. One of the things that Yvon Chouinard is really big on is simplifying. One of the things that he looked at with climbing equipment when he started, so back in the 50s, there were not a lot of climbers, and everything that he used was more complex than it needed to be. And so a big part of his business was to make things easier, to make it simpler, to cut down on any superfluous stuff, whether it be in manufacturing or whether it be in business. So when you think about that in terms of your business and your life, how can you cut down on what you don't need? In one of his quotes, he's famous for saying, the person who dies with the least amount of toys wins. Because they get it. Okay, so I want you to think about that, because that's really key. The person who dies with the least amount of toys wins. And that's this philosophy. Create strong bonds, not just a team. They hit a really, like all businesses, they hit a really rough patch. And his directors were saying, we've got to cut costs, we've got to slash people, we've got to get rid of it. Yvonne Chouinard said, we're not doing that. I still own the business. We're not doing that. And instead, he took groups of 10 and 15 people right through all the different levels of his business, and he took them on wilderness retreats for an entire week. And this is at a point where his directors are saying you got to cut costs and get rid of people. He's taking people out camping in the wilderness. And in that week, what he did was he taught them about why Patagonia was important. He taught them about the state of our natural environment and what's going to happen if somebody like Patagonia does not step in and make a massive difference in a very public way. And he inspired them with meaning. And we'll talk about that later. But what happened after that, and that was a pivotal point for the organisation, where it wasn't just a team bonding experience, he actually brought people together. And obviously he leads by example. Everything that he does, he radiates this mission that he walks in his life.